Hare Krishna, good morning devotees. To Srimad Bhagavatam class. For live from the Gita Nagari Temple Studios. We're here for class. Sorry, live audience. Yeah, you can, wherever you're most comfortable, you can sit in the chair. He's chairing himself. That's okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Chanalabha Girivaradari Chanava Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradari Yasodhanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodhanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 31, verse number 14. Famous verse. Thank you, Tarka Prabhu, for posting the verse. Okay. Yatha taro mula nisechanena tripyanti tat skanda bhuja pusaka pranapahara chayatendriyanam tathaiva sarva Hanam Achuteja Yatha Taramula Nisechanena Dipyanti Tatskanda Bhuja Pusaka Panopaharat Chacha Yatendriyanam Yatathaiva Sarmaharam Achuteja Yatha Taranula Nisechanena Dipyanti Tatskanda Bhuja Pusaka Panopaharat Chayatendriyanam Tathaiva Sarvaharanam Achiteja. Do you want to chant something? So you got it?
Yeah.
Like a Sanskrit scholar. Okay. Okay, word for word translation. Yatha, as. Taro, of a tree. Mula, the root. Nisechanena, by watering. Tripyanti, are satisfied. Tat, its. Skanda, trunk. Bhuja, branches. Upasaka, the twigs. Prana, the life air. Upahara, upahara, by feeding. Cha, and. Yatha, as. Indriyana, of the senses. Tata eva, similarly. Sarva, of all demigods. Arhanam, worship. Achyuta, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ija, worship. Okay, translation purport. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. As pouring water on the root of a tree energizes the trunk, branches, twigs, and everything else, and as supplying food to the stomach enlivens the senses and limbs of the body, simply by worshiping the Supreme Personality of Godhead through devotional service, simply worshiping the Supreme Personality of Godhead through devotional service automatically satisfies the demigods who are part of that Supreme Personality. Purport. Sometimes people ask, why this Krishna conscious movement simply advocates worship of Krishna to the exclusion of the demigods? The answer is given in this verse. The example of pouring water on the root of a tree is very appropriate. In Bhagavad Gita 15.1, it is said, Urdhva Moolam Adasakam. This cosmic manifestation has expanded downward, and the root is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As the Lord confirms in Bhagavad Gita 10.8, Aham Sarvasya Prabhava. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Krishna is the root of everything. Therefore, rendering service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna Seva, means automatically serving all the demigods. Sometimes it is argued that karma and jnana require a mixture of bhakti in order to be successfully executed. And sometimes it is argued that bhakti also requires karma and jnana for its successful termination. The fact is, however, that although karma and jnana cannot be successful without bhakti, bhakti does not require the help of karma and jnana. Actually, as described by Srila Rupa Goswami, Anyabhilasita sunya jnana karma dinavritam. Pure devotional service should not be contaminated by the touch of karma and jnana. Modern society is involved in various types of philanthropic works, humanitarian works, and so on. But people do not know that these activities will never be successful unless Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is brought into the center. One may ask what harm there is in worshiping Krishna and the different parts of his body, the demigods, and the answer is also given in this verse. The point is that by supplying food to the stomach, the indriyas, the senses, are automatically satisfied. If one tries to feed his eyes and ears independently, the result is only havoc. Simply by supplying food to the stomach, we satisfy all the senses. It is neither necessary nor feasible to render separate service to the individual senses. The conclusion is that by serving Krishna, Krishna Seva, everything is complete, as confirmed in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 2262. Krishna Bhakti Kaila Sarva Karma Kritahoy. If one is engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead, everything is automatically accomplished. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Ajnana Nimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsa Shri Rupam Sagrajatan Sagana Ragana Tam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasudhi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Okay. Okay, so welcome again, devotees, and welcome to we have our live audience here. Kaylee with a K-A, right? Okay, we have Bhakti and Kaylee coming to spend some time with us from New York. So that's very exciting. Thank you for being here. Okay, so yeah, like I said, very famous verse. This this verse often quoted by Srila Prabhupada, and it's nice. There's so many examples from kind of like agriculture in the Bhagavatam. We have the seed of devotion, and then we have then obviously we have this verse that's nicely describing how watering the root of, I guess, existence. By doing that, then everything else is satisfied. Even all the demigods are satisfied. So Prabhupada was asked one time, Prabhupada, you're spending a lot of time like talking about these demigods, and what's the use? We in the West we don't worship the demigods. This is a foreign concept to us. And So they were like questioning Prabhupada like that. And it's funny because now we see actually some people are actually worshiping like demigods, right? Do you know, have you seen that? Like mostly Indian, but no, but yeah, yeah. I mean, of course, people, people from India. That's the thing, yeah. So we see now, and now like we can see why Prabhupada was stressing these things so much. I mean, now we see these purports weren't just meant for people from the Indian background. We can see, yeah, like Kaylee was saying, people are Shivites, and yeah, people are into like you go to music festivals now, you see people with Ganesh shirts and maybe even a few Kali worshippers out. I mean, there are definitely Kali worshippers out there. I know one Bhakta, we joined the ashram. We were in the ashram together, and he ended up leaving Krishna conscious and going and getting initiated by some Kali sect. So yeah, I think he like gave his life savings for a mantra. Uh, so yeah, so these things are kind of relevant now. Yeah, now I guess with the globalization and information age, everyone is kind of in tune with all these different uh, cultural practices around the world. Um, but yeah, we can see. But for some of us, okay, it's not such a big thing. Like, yeah, we weren't so much into deity worship. Like probably many of us, the first deities we knew about were the deities when we came to ISKCON temple. And I remember actually coming, someone told a similar story and so it reminded me of this, but I remember the first time I came to the temple and yeah, it was during the Sunday program and you know, yeah, everyone's doing kirtan and dancing in front of the deity. And then someone asked me after the program, oh, what did you think of the deities? And I was like, what deities? They were like, oh, kind of like the statue type things. And I was like scratching my head, like, I don't know. All I remember was like this checkered floor. This was in Atlanta. All I remember was this checkered floor and, like a few paintings on the wall. Somehow I just kind of missed yeah, I missed that the deities were even there. Because, yeah, this is kind of a foreign concept for the Westerners, deity worship and like that. So, yeah, many of us were not used to this kind of deity worship, demigod worship, all these kind of Vedic, uh, yeah, Vedic practices. So some of these things that we hear about, like demigod worship, yeah, they might not kind of strike so deep to our heart. Um, but I remember one time our Sankirtan leader, yeah, he just spontaneously he started talking about the 10 offenses and just like in like a taking the 10 offenses, but kind of putting them in a more modern context, like a more kind of relevant aspect to us. So it was like, yeah, number one, don't blaspheme. The guru, he was saying something like, yeah, that means, follow the order of the spiritual master. And then second, consider the demigods equal or independent of the Lord. And I think he said like he equated it to kind of how we worship like rock stars and basketball stars and like this. And yeah, or sometimes we even try to elevate ourselves to that position. So it was interesting how he put it. He had put these 10 offenses in a way that it was like, yeah, completely applicable to us. And so also similarly, yeah, we might hear these things about demigods and we might think, okay, whatever, let me just let me just flip to the next purport because I'm not a demigod worshiper. But we can take this purport and this concept also to our own lives and think about, okay, how much am I thinking that there's another solution besides Krishna consciousness? How much am I still kind of holding on to this idea that Krishna consciousness is nice, but I'm sure there's still something out there, there's still something better out there. There's still some pleasure to be had out there. There's still some better solutions for the world, like that. So we might be thinking like this. Like I remember one bhakti came to Atlanta, and there was like a marathon passing through. And, the route went right past the temple, and all of a sudden he starts like filling up all these water cups with water, and getting a table, and he wants to go. He wanted to go like give water to the runners. Oh, sorry, I said water, and I remember I'm thirsty. So he was like, let me go. We're like, what are you doing, Bhakta? Whatever. I don't know what his name is, Bhakta Oscar or something. Bhakta Oscar, what are you doing? So you're supposed to be like, doing your service. And he's like, no, I want to go feed. I want to go kind of give water to the runners, because I don't know, he was just inspired from the heart to help help the runners out, I guess. And then when we said no, Bhakta Oscar, I'm sure they have water, and we have other services to do here, and it's not this isn't our main goal here. He became a little disturbed, like, what, you guys don't care about the runners, How would you like it if you're running and didn't have any water? So Bhakta Oscar, he wasn't so happy about not being able to help the runners. And of course, it's not that we're like callous to the sufferings of the world. We hear the devotee is para dukkha dukhi. A devotee actually becomes sad to see other people in the world sad. Like Prabhupada, when he saw these old men were golfing, and he began crying, because here these old men are. They should be using these last, how Prabhupada said, the fag end of life. They should be using it for self-realization, but what are they using it for? Just hitting some little ball around, So but it's not that Prabhupada was like, okay, let me go be their caddy, so they don't have to walk here and there. No, Prabhupada wasn't sad that they were kind of having to like walk here and there. On the golf course, no, Prabhupada was sad because what's the ultimate aim of life? The ultimate aim of life is to revive our real identity, our dormant Krishna consciousness. And you don't do that by, no matter how many holes in ones you get. So this is the point, is that our Krishna conscious movement, it's meant ultimately to give the highest thing. And like this saying goes, you can give a man a fish, or you can give a man a fish, or you can teach him how to fish, right? So better is to teach him how to fish, because then he can go and then he can go out and kind of fish on his own, even if you're not there to give him the fish. I mean, this is a terrible example because we're not into fish. Huh? It's a good example though. I think, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Minus, take out the fish, yeah, whatever. So you can give a man you can give someone a chapati, but better is if you teach him how to roll the chapati. Um, so yeah, because in other words, better to kind of solve the problem at the root, and that root being that um, that yeah, all problems actually come from uh, not not realizing our identity as spirit souls. Um, so if you do that, that's like teaching someone how to make a chapati, because then yeah, then all their chapati problems will be solved. So I thought it was interesting. Um, I was reading the there in the science of self-realization. There's this, I think his name is Ian Stevenson. I hope I'm not mixing it up with that character from. Anyways, yeah, I think his name Ian Stevenson, Dr. Ian Stevenson. He did the soul research on reincarnation and stuff. And so uh, one of his contemporaries who like has studied a lot of his work, he was mentioning how even though he's not a devotee, but he was mentioning how he was so eager to get this knowledge out because he could see that it would have profound impacts on the world if people realize that yeah, that reincarnation exists. And he gave the example that if like if um like the Muslim and Jews, in Gaza, they're like always fighting. I don't know exactly what the name of the two groups are, but there's like the Gaza Strip, and on either side they're always fighting. It's like religious fight. And he was making the point that if each side knew that in my next life I could take birth as one of my so-called enemies, then maybe I would consider that, okay, maybe I shouldn't, have so much hatred to this person just because of this certain bodily designation. So it's like Kate has a red cheddar on. It's like, okay, I have a brown cheddar on, so now I hate her because I hate red. No, it's like nonsense because, well, I don't have a red cheddar, but maybe one day I will have a red cheddar, and maybe one day I'll wear a red cheddar. So it's completely like trivial to think like that. To yeah, hate someone based on just the country they're born in. So yeah, even though this guy is not a devotee, um, he was making this point that if people actually realize that there are scientific there's a scientific basis behind us being the soul, it would have so much impact because people wouldn't create these artificial designations. Oh, I'm this, you're that, therefore I hate you, and like that. Um, so yeah, that's one example how yeah, getting in tune with this knowledge um, can solve problems of life. Um, and personally, I had this realization a long time ago when I was just going to music festivals and yeah, doing that, practically worshiping Lord Shiva, even though I wasn't an official Shiva worshiper, but practically I was Shiva worshiper. But I had this realization, like, yeah, so many things we're trying to do to make the world a better place. Um, but if yeah, if that kind of like solution and reformation doesn't happen on a deep level, on like a deep personal level, then all this all this greed and stuff will just continue. Um, like I remember I was part of the Occupy movement, Occupy Atlanta. Remember Occupy Wall Street, Occupy this, Occupy that. That was like this big political movement. Yeah, it's funny because yeah, these things come and go. It's so funny. Even though they made such a big deal about like, okay, this is going to be the solution to all the problems in the world. You know, it was they were saying like we are the 99%. We're going against the 1% of these rich people who are just kind of like, yeah, exploiting everyone. And so yeah, I was part of that, and I remember I was we were at someone's station at someone's house. We were going to prevent them from getting evicted, and I remember like, and we were all into it. We were like, yeah, we have to make the world a better place. Overthrow the government. But I was staying with these people in this house, so every day I would see them. We'd get up and whatever, sit around the campfire. And I was thinking like, okay, the people in government, they might be pretty bad, but if these people take over, wow, I don't know. I think things might be much worse. Mm. So yeah, what this whole kind of, yeah, let's you know overthrow one government system for another, and you know like this. It's just okay. Let's let these people have anartas, so they have anartas in their hearts. So yeah, let's just replace them with my anartas, because no, but it's like the anartas are still there. So until that, so yeah, I realized like, oh God, this is just a waste of time, because yeah, I could see the solution has to come from kind of within. Um, yeah. Um, so yeah, but we might like, okay, yeah, that might sound nice, but we might still have so many desires. Yeah, even as devotees, we might have like many desires to do this, to do that. Um, so how to have that faith, like it's been mentioned in the purport. Um, this verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, uh, um, Shraddha Sabde Vishvas Ekore Sudhir Anishtoy, Krishna Kaila Sarva Karma Krita Hoy. That faith faith means that one believes that just by rendering service to Krishna, um, all perfection will be achieved. Like that. So yeah, even though we might have desires for this, desires for that, as long as we realize like, okay, yeah, I might have these, impure desires, but ultimately, if I become Krishna conscious, then that will be the best thing. That will actually solve all of the problems. So it's a nice definition of faith, because one might think like faith, I have to have like full faith that the deities are Krishna. I have to have like complete 100% faith that that this Labjaman in front of me is the supreme personality of Godhead. Um, yeah, that's faith also. But faith is also, according to Chaitanya Charitamrita, uh, faith. I don't know who said. I don't know who said it, if it was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I don't know who actually quoted that verse. But yeah, faith is just that. Okay, by engaging in this process, then yeah, I will attain all perfection. Um, and yeah, it's amazing. Like, I remember this story. Yeah, this devotee was talking about. I mentioned this, I think, in one of my last classes. Um, this devotee who we actually stayed with in New York. He was he's from I think, where's he from? He's from somewhere in India where they have this Kumbh Mela, where all it's like a, rainbow gatherings. Like it's like a big gathering of all the sages and yogis from around the country. Like you can imagine, like thousands and thousands and thousands of people come. And have you been to India? No. Yeah, yeah, India. Yeah, it's a whole nother world. But just imagine. I mean, this is like something you only see in a movie, like yogis with long hair, and like there's these Naga Babas. These guys, these guys live up in the Himalayas, and they just cover themselves in ash and smoke weed all day, and and uh, and kind of like, yeah, just they're just they're just yeah, I don't know. You can't even imagine that these type of people exist. But, and yeah, I think it was Prabhupada even said he saw some he saw some what was it? He saw some yogis at this one of the Kumbh Melas, and he said, yeah, these guys are actually thousands of years old. And yeah, I mean, people transport themselves through the water, and it's just like totally inconceivable. But yeah, so all these yogis and stuff come and get together, and so he was telling me this story about how one guy came to his door and was, him and his mom came to the door, and the guy was saying, can I have a donation? And they were like, no, 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 you can't get out of here. And what he did, he started telling them about like their family history and how there was some, yeah, like things that no one would know. And I don't think this guy, I know on the internet you can find many things. If you just type in someone's name, kind of like their address and all that, the phone number. But yeah, I don't think this guy had internet access, but he knew, yeah. So they were like, oh my God, yeah, we better give this guy some money. Um, so my point is, yeah, there are powerful kind of beings even on this planet, and there are many like yoga practices that can give mystic powers, and um, but ultimately, yeah, Krishna is the highest. Krishna is the highest perfection. Um, and what they did in that story, that my friend and his mom, they went up to the door and that mystic yogi dude. So then they put a picture of Nishingadev, like a poster of Nishingadev, on their front door, and then they didn't then no one else came. Um, so yeah, even these people who worship all these demigods, they know that, yeah. I mean, even if they don't know, Krishna is definitely the most powerful. Um, so yeah, anyways, this is a nice verse to remember, that about faith. That, yeah, just by engaging in this process, then I'll attain all perfection. I'll attain all my heart's desires, and yeah, there's no need to go anywhere else to do anything else. Okay, what is this? There's a quote in the chat. How does this thing scroll? Oh yeah, nice verse. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me, the wise who perfectly know this. Engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Tarkapu, for those quotes. Okay, I'll stop there. If there are any questions or comments from anyone, we have a few online. Sashi Devi Devi. Oh. Do you have anything? Okay. Okay, so Kaylee will ask and I'll repeat.
Okay. So you have that analogy, the example of the body wanting to give the runner's water.
Yeah.
It's like stuff that he could not do this.
Mm.
But do you think that if you would have allowed him to go and give the water, maybe he would have had the realization that this is not actually what he wanted? Or do you think that maybe just like allowing people, because people, we do have to realize things from within.
Mm.
And it was given the opportunity to actually go give the people water, and maybe they had said, you know, wait, here we have water or something like that. He may realize, he may have that internal realization that, oh, this is not what's going to help them, you know. Or do you think
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's a great question. So Kaylee is asking about because I told the story about the talk to Oscar, or whatever, I think his name's Oscar, yeah, who wanted to give the water to the runners. And because I mentioned kind of how we, I guess, chastised him for wanting to do that. So Kaylee is bringing up the point that, well, maybe if you would have let him do that, and maybe he wouldn't have been like wouldn't have been maybe discouraged, and also would have, or yeah, he would have come to the realization on his own, right? That he would, yeah, yeah. So he would have came to the realization on his own that that's not what they need. Yeah, I mean, I think probably, yeah, I think oftentimes we are like maybe a little heavy. I remember one devotee, a new devotee, yeah, we went to a temple and we asked him how things were. He said, yeah, things are nice, but you know, it was kind of weird. One day, we were walking and I picked the flower off a tree and I went to smell it, and then the devotee started freaking out, like, "Did you offer it to Krishna? Did you offer it to Krishna? You didn't offer it to Krishna. Don't smell it." Um, so he was thinking like, well, yeah, seems a little intense, you know. Um, so yeah, I mean, the thing is, we're trying to teach people what the highest thing is. So, I mean, he might have learned that, okay, you know, maybe the people wouldn't take water, and then he realized like, okay, they're actually okay. Or maybe yeah, maybe the people they would maybe the people they'd be really eager to drink the water, and then he might think, well, yeah, this is a great thing, you know. And he might, without kind of, yeah, without guidance, without kind of us educating him, he might start thinking, you know, maybe I should just go marathon to marathon, set up a table, because I feel so good when I see these runners, their thirst quenched. So he might, yeah, if we don't educate people, then they might kind of like be yeah, they might waste a lot of time in life, you know. So definitely, okay, yeah.
just like, how do you think maybe it could be related to his decision that this is not, because it seems like he didn't really take away that there's something higher to give them.
Yeah.
If, I don't know, And I think that, like, how could we relate this in work? This is not, this is only going to satisfy their bodily cleansing, but what about this soul, the cave, or how would we relate that? That's not really what's going to.
Well, I mean, I think I think if you said it like that, yeah. Yeah. Um, I mean, because I know for myself, like, yeah, so I think, yeah, Carrie's making the point, like, yeah, how can we maybe educate without, maybe in like like a softer way, so they're not discouraged, right? Is like, yeah, so they're not discouraged. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, of course, the better the doctor is at giving the medicine, then that's, the better the more kind of like with less pain. The smaller pill you can give to cure the disease, the better. Sometimes, you get like these big pills and it's like, oh my God. And so sometimes, yeah, we get advice like that and it's like swallowing this huge pill. Um, but yeah, I think with time we become more and more expert, more and more kind of sensitive to people. But um, as my Guru Maharaj says, we're never at fault for giving the medicine. We're never at fault for trying to help. As long as we're not intentionally doing something that's going to drive that person away from Krishna consciousness, then we're actually not in the wrong. We'll get more and more expert. And I know for myself, it's like at one point I wanted to leave the temple, because it was early on in my devotional career, but I wanted to leave and go back to my hometown, my college town, because I was thinking, yeah, I want to go, preach to my friends and like that. And then this Prabhupada disciple who kind of, brought me up in Krishna consciousness, he was like, I don't know if you should do that because, and yeah, he said it very nicely, but he was making the point that he was relaying his own life example, how when he went and tried to I guess, preach to his old friends, practically no one was interested. So now I'm going to go, a few, maybe I was like 5, 6 months in Krishna consciousness. I was going to go back to my college town and, think I could kind of intermingle with all my friends and kind of be able to preach to them. And they're all going to become Krishna conscious. So if he hadn't like said this to me, even though I was very attached because I miss my friends, and I was saying I wanted to go preach to them, but probably I just wanted to go be with them. But if he hadn't told me that, oh my God, I don't know what would have happened. I could have wasted a lot of time. So yeah, as years go by, we can kind of we'll look back and see that we got certain guidance through our life that was so valuable. But if the devotees would have never given that to us, if they would have just been like a little too sensitive, then then we might waste a lot of time, go through a lot of misery, like that. You were raising your hand.
I was just thinking, it does say not to instruct the faithless person.
Not to instruct the faithless person.
Yes. I think like oftentimes like this is my experience on Sankirtan is some people there's a hometown where like a decent amount of demigod worshippers, like Indian gods. And people will try to say that this is wrong and all these things, but actually in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying that it's people that are worshiping the demigods, they're actually more goodness. It's just misplaced. So when we're preaching, we tell someone what you're doing is wrong, it's not attractive to them. But when we can tell people, hey, what you're doing is like this is like a more goodness to worship,
Yeah.
but it's just misplaced. Like I have to go to Krishna himself. Like everything goes to Krishna, so just go to him.
Yeah.
His people are so much more receptive and open to hearing, and so that's just been like I guess my experience, just kind of like encouraging people, not telling people what they're doing is wrong, because no one's doing anything wrong. But then another kind of question about this when like preaching, talking to people, especially demigod worshippers, I mean, how do we, because most people are going to Shiva because Shiva will easily give material things. And so when people are so caught up in this, like I need this, I need that, like family, all these things. And then if they go to Krishna, Krishna is like that, the parent that like is not gonna give you the lollipop because it's not good for you, or he'll like do something better for you, but it might not be what they want. So that can be kind of hard, and for people that they attach to material things, getting things from Shiva, how can we kind of show them that Krishna is, I don't know, the best route to go, and it might be difficult because Krishna is not always, it's not just going to give people whatever they want. I don't think,
Yeah.
maybe he gives it to them in a way that they don't actually like it. And maybe that, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's that verse. Krishna will fulfill your desires, but in such a way that you won't desire it anymore. So yeah, Katie's making the point that yeah, some people might be into worshiping Shiva because they get material benefits. So how do we now convince them that okay, you should worship Krishna? But it's kind of hard when yeah, they might not have faith that their desires will be fulfilled, because as we know, yeah, Krishna worshippers of Krishna aren't always the most rich, or don't always get so many material benedictions like the Shiva worshippers. Well, there is the verse Kama Sarvakama Va Moksha Kama Udarati, that whether one has no desires or whether one is full of desires, um, but whether one has no desires, whether one is full of desires, or whether one is desirous of Krishna, I think that's in there. One should worship Krishna. So that yeah, that verse is saying whether one wants liberation. Okay. So what is it? Whether one has all desires, kama, what has one no desires, has all desires, kama, sarva, kama, yeah, or whether one wants liberation, one should worship Krishna. And yeah, I mean, you're right. It might be a little hard to convince them. But yeah, we should know at heart that okay, it is best for them. And yeah, because we know that okay, even if you get uh all your desires fulfilled, what about the next life? Next life you could be one of those a sewer rat in New York. Did you see any rats in New York when you were there? They're huge. I've seen them. They're like, yeah. So that could be your next, even though you're a CEO of like, you own one of these huge 1 million-story buildings in New York. You could be a sewer rat in your next life. So we should know that. We should know that ultimately Krishna consciousness is the best thing for them. And then, yeah, then it's like, okay, how do we kind of, yeah, I think this all comes into your question before. It's like, how do we give the medicine in a way that they'll be attractive to it, that they'll be attracted to come to Krishna consciousness. What was I thinking? Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm just trying to think and encourage people. One story I can think of is Prabhupada was giving a lecture, like, sex, you know? And Prabhupada said, you can have sex. And then, but then he just started describing like, okay, the method, the method, the authorized method to go through sex. So Prabhupada's making the point like, okay, you want sex? Okay, you can have sex, no problem. But just do this, 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 and this. Um, um, so yeah, and I was actually my friend just sent me this verse about this purport about how in all our material kind of endeavors in life, uh, it a very interesting purport, because sometimes we think, oh, we can only pray for devotional service. But Prabhupada is making the point in this purport in the third canto that throughout all our endeavors in life, even our material endeavors, we should be praying to Krishna throughout. Like, Krishna, please, whatever, help me digest this pancake. Everything. I don't know if by the way, I don't know if it's pancakes for breakfast. But yeah, throughout our whole life, throughout every action we take, we should be praying to Krishna. And then the point was made that, um, uh, yeah, when one is a sincere devotee, then fulfill. Krishna will actually, yeah, fulfill one's desires, in such a. And this was in the context of like someone praying for a good spouse, and Krishna and Prabhupada was making the point that, yeah, Krishna will kind of fulfill that desire for a good spouse. Um, so, but yeah, I think my answer would be like, we should know in our hearts that this really is the best thing for them, and then it's how to connect them. Like even my Guru Maharaj, one time there was these guys at a preaching program, and these guys were just given all these arguments, this, that, this, and my Guru Maharaj was like, oh my God, these guys. And so what did he say? He said, look at these ladies. Aren't they beautiful? What, wouldn't you want one of them? So yeah, so he was saying like, he was trying to give them Krishna consciousness from where they were at. So that's yeah, or like he makes the point. Someone's arguing. Just John, Bhakta John, just eat this samosa, just, yeah, I know you're filling your mouth with lots of arguments now, but why don't you just take this nice samosa? Um, and by eating that samosa and by staying in the process, then they'll come to that realization themselves. So these guys also, okay, my Guru Maharaj was saying, just look at these women. Wouldn't you want to get, have a relationship with them? Because yeah, then they'll keep coming to the preaching center, and then they'll get purified and won't have these desires. Okay, thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Lord Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Krishna Krishna.